Hello, hello, and happy Wednesday. It's so good to see you today. Welcome to another edition of Networking Know How. And today I've got a really great episode for you. Have you ever hit a professional barrier? Have you ever had an obstacle that has kept you stuck professionally, maybe on your job, or maybe when you're just getting started and you've just graduated from high school or college, you're entering your first job, or maybe you're starting a brand new job and you've made a transition? Have you ever found a time in your professional career where you were stuck? You couldn't go any further. That's what we're going to answer today. I'm going to be talking to you about the secret trick to shatter professional barriers. And we're going to have a fun time with our conversation. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So let me make sure that this is live in all places because it's so important that we're live in all places. But in the meantime, I see a couple of you watching live, so I'm so glad you're here. Get up and chat and let me know where you're watching from. I would love to say hello. Be part of this conversation. And if you're watching on replay, make sure that you are jumping in chat as well, because here's the thing. I read every single post and I will respond to every single post. So get up in the conversation. We will keep it going long after we are live. So whether you're live or on replay, no matter what platform you're watching on, get up and chat and let's have a conversation. Now, we are on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, and we're on Facebook. You can either be on my channel or you can be on Down and Dirty Networking. All right, so let's kind of dive into this. So get up and chat and let me know the answer. Have you ever been stuck professionally? Have you ever had a professional barrier that you really just couldn't see a way around it, over it, or even through it? There was just no avoiding it. It was just there and you were stuck. So get up and chat and let me know if you have ever had that as a challenge, or maybe you're going through that right now. If that's something you're going through right now, by all means, let us know. Oh my gosh, I'm experiencing that right now. So let's go ahead and talk about that. I'm going to go ahead and share this. Awesome. All right. Had to share, make sure we're sharing it with Down and Dirty Networking. LinkedIn's not letting me go live for some reason. So technical difficulties, but you know what? I will not be deterred. I am going to find a way. I will not be defeated. All right, so let's get into our topic today. So I see some of you are saying, yes, you've had some professional challenges. So I know I have. I had so many, but see if this resonates with you. So early on, I didn't know where to start. I was always told that you just did a good job and you would get your just reward. You never let them see you sweat, was the saying. And especially as a female and a minority, you did what you told. You showed up, you did excellent work, better than excellent if you could, 150%, which, spoiler alert, nobody has 150% to give. We only have 100% at any given moment. But this is what I was told and where my mindset was. You give 150%, you never complain, you do the job, and you go the extra mile. And so that was where my starting point was. And so I really didn't know how to ask questions. I didn't want to look stupid, and just tried to get through based on what I was being told and just figure it out, just kind of grind it out and figure it out. Well, that resilience and that grit to grind it out and figure it out, those are great skills to learn. But I'm going to tell you, if this sounds anything like what you might have experienced or experiencing right now, man, it puts you on an island of alone. So if you've ever hit that professional barrier and you've tried to do it all on your own, whether you're a corporate professional, entrepreneur, isn't it lonely trying to figure out that you're the only one going through this, or you're the only one that can get you out and over and through and around this barrier? And sometimes if you've been facing that barrier for a time, it can feel really defeating. I know I've had that experience as well. And then there are times where I felt like I hit a glass ceiling. And so as a woman, often in a corporate space and even in entrepreneur land, which is something most people don't know, I didn't know, there is actually a glass ceiling. And so sometimes you hit that glass ceiling and you don't know what to do. You don't know how to get beyond it. And so in corporate, there was a you don't talk about it kind of rule. So if you're familiar with the old 90s movie, you know, what happens in Fight Club, we don't talk about Fight Club. And so, it's the number one rule. You don't talk about Fight Club. You don't talk about the challenges, the obstacles. As women, you don't share and have meaningful conversations. And what I have learned is Not only is that highly unhealthy, it's incredibly isolating. It's also not meaningful, nor is it effective. So I'm giving you permission today that I'm going to show you the secret trick. I'm going to tell you that secret trick that you can start right now. And it's actually talking about it. Don't put yourself on that island of alone, and realize that you are by not talking about it, by not reaching out for help. And so the secret trick to shattering your professional barriers is to engage in relational networking. So, what is relational networking, and why is networking even considered a thing to help me? Well, first off, I have to explain what I mean by relational networking. When you hear networking, most times we think of traditional networking, which is more transactional in nature, where you have some kind of a 30-second commercial or elevator pitch. And then there's an exchange of either leads, maybe you're exchanging sales referrals or job offers or asking for a promotion. But in most cases, it's a one-way conversation that's resulting in you asking for something, self promoting in some way, and getting the thing that you're asking for, and then moving on to the next person, and kind of working the room, as it were, whether it be a virtual room or a physical room. Now, when I usually ask people what their experience is with networking, most people feel it's a chore, they don't have the time for it. But the number one response that I get is people go, ugh, it's not even really a word. It's more an emotional and guttural response. So if you're watching, this sounds familiar to you, you're not alone. And ultimately, I felt the exact same way. And so what I realized is there's another way of networking, and we call it relational networking. And so the definition and the way that we look at relational networking here at Down and Dirty Networking is it is having a meaningful conversation to learn from and about somebody to build a lasting and authentic relationship. Now, here in our Down and Dirty Networking online community, we meet on a monthly basis, and today was our member event. And we really had a meaningful conversation surrounded by one question. And this is so powerful. It was intimate, it was vulnerable, it was meaningful. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the other members. It was absolutely remarkable how one question led to another and led to another and just opened up a very meaningful conversation. And that is the magic of relational networking. If you have never experienced it, then you don't know. You don't know. It's why we require for you to be a member that you've attended one of our public events, so that you can experience it and make sure that we're a fit for you and you're a fit for us. But what I will tell you, and relative to what you can do, is really understand that relational networking is a very different mindset. See, I believe networking is a skill, a mindset, and an activity, but it's the mindset of networking that trips the scale. When you adopt a relational networking mindset, you're curious to learn from and about someone. You're curious to listen to their answer while thinking of what you need to say. There's no introductions and prepared 30-second commercials. It's listening intently and following up and being curious with follow up questions and being open to the information that they're sharing, the answers they're sharing. But then when you're sharing, allowing them to ask you questions and being open to perspectives. See, sometimes we're running with blinders on. And so relational networking can really provide that 360-degree perspective. And so some of those barriers that you're facing, you may not even realize that the solution is right in front of you. And sometimes it takes having a conversation with somebody else to recognize, oh, this is what I can do. Because I'm a firm believer that we are all in control of how we move forward. We're all in control of the ability to overcome, move through, around, over, or under any professional barrier. Often we don't realize we're in control, and then we don't know what to do next. And that's where these conversations can really be helpful. And so, for example, I had a conversation earlier this week with my other marketing business, one of my clients, and one of the things, just in opening a dialogue and a conversation, she was saying how it was really nice to have a safe space to play with different ideas, to be authentically herself. It wasn't a one-way conversation with a marketing consultant telling her what she should do and shoulding all on her, but allowing her to play with what she actually wanted. And so that absolutely translates in the corporate space. Uh, as an entrepreneur, we don't realize we can do what we want. You don't need to should on yourself. But as entrepreneurs, I mean, as corporate professionals, I didn't know this either. And I'll never forget when I finally had a conversation. It was actually a former boss of mine. He had left, and I had been doing both of our jobs for 3 months. And he called me and asked, and he said, "So I'm curious, have they promoted you yet?" And I said, no. And he goes, have you asked? No. Remember, I'm putting my head down. I'm going to do a good job. I will get my just reward. And he says, I think you need to ask. Gave me some guidance. And he says, I'm going to call you back and make sure that you've made the phone call. And it needed to be a phone call, not doing it in person because the headquarters was in another state. And so, okay, I need to make the phone call. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. I felt so awkward. But the short version of this is because of the conversation I had with him, because he asked me something I hadn't considered, it gave me the opportunity to ask. Now, when I asked initially, you might think it didn't go very well. Like it wasn't a very happy ending to the story because I asked, I got the courage up. I was sweating profusely, but I asked and I felt that I asked in a very effective way. I followed the guidance that my former boss had told me. And the person on the other line, my boss on the other line, laughed at me and said, "Oh, you're serious," after he finished laughing. And so we continued having our conversation. I hung up. I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated. So this is the part of the story where it's not the very happy ending. And I was devastated. And shortly after, I get a phone call, and I'm pretty sure tears were shed. I was shedding, not shredding, shedding. Here's the word, shedding tears. I was very, very devastated and distraught. And I remember him calling me back, my former boss, and he's like, "Did you make the call?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "So what happened? Did he laugh? Did he take you seriously?" And I said, "No, he actually did laugh. And no, he did not take me seriously." He goes, "I was afraid of that." He wanted to know whether or not I had actually had the power to ask. And he says, "Listen, I've got another opportunity. I want you to interview for this. I want to refer you for this position. I don't think you're ever going to get promoted. And here's why I don't think. And I don't think it's anything you're going to be able to do about it." And so, okay, so here I am for 3 months. I'm just grinding it out. How much longer would have I been grinding it out without my former boss caring enough to call me and give me a perspective to ask? And so I ask, and so now I know where I'm at. Now they know this is where I want to go. This like I really wanted to move up in the company. But my former boss was like, "Look, they're not going to do it. I have an opportunity." He goes, "And now I know you have the ability to ask." He wanted to make sure that I had the courage to ask, even though I might sweat profusely, I wasn't going to die. And then he said, "Great, I'm going to refer you." And I ultimately got that other job and I moved on. And it led to a very successful career because I had this conversation with somebody, thankfully interceding on my behalf and just snapping me out of my funk of putting my head down and getting it done. So if that's you, or maybe you now, or maybe you've been that way, add to the conversation. Let me know if you've ever experienced anything similar to this. But that secret trick to shattering the barriers is developing relational networking mindset and surrounding yourself with people in your network and checking in on them. Now that I'm a more seasoned professional, I can do what my boss did for me. And I can keep tabs of people and say, "Hey, have you done this?" I can see things now. I have the clarity of hindsight. And so when you are connected to people that really value you and you've developed some strong relationships and you're dealing with relational networking where you're focused on meaningful conversations, this is how you can overcome obstacles. In the mastermind I'm in, somebody actually posted a question and they just didn't even know what to ask. And I said, "Well, that's the ask. I don't even know where to start. Can someone help me get started or what to ask?" I struggle with that myself with some of the cognitive challenges that I experience. I would love to ask certain questions, but I don't even know what to ask. And I've learned that saying, "I don't even know what to ask. What do you think I need to know for someone who's just starting out on this XYZ?" I find like that is a really great question for me to ask. And then when someone's really giving me some great advice on something that I know very little about, or they're guiding me, and I don't really have any more questions, the second question that I ask is, given that I don't know anything about this and I have no idea what to ask next, what do you think I need to know that I haven't asked or I don't have the awareness to ask you? What do you think I need to know? And people usually pause when I ask that question and they're like, "Laura, great question." And then they give me some great additional information. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so glad you shared that because yes, I do need to know this." And so what I find is just saying you don't know what to say, or you don't know where to start or how to start or where to overcome are powerful questions to open a more meaningful conversation up. It shows the person that you're talking to that you're open to feedback, that you are open to being poured into. But it also makes it easier on you. It makes it easier on me to say that so I don't feel like I'm looking so stupid or that I have to have all the answers. And it takes me out of and off the island of alone. Relational networking is the life raft off the island of alone. So if you are in transition looking for a job, or maybe you're facing some other obstacles right now, maybe you've been trying to find a job, you might be surprised that relational networking and asking a single question, hey, I've been out of work. Has anyone been out of work for a while? If so, what tips would you have? Having been there in my situation, what would you say looking backwards that you think I could benefit from? Let people take the benefit of your expertise and the road that you've already traveled so they don't have to take the longer road themselves, that they can shorten their runway to success. Relational networking becomes that professional easy button. It is what shatters those obstacles, those barriers, those glass ceilings. And in the process, not only does it give you clarity, not only does it give you the solutions, it gives you confidence. It gives you confidence that you can have conversations. And more importantly, it gives you hope. It increases your vibrational energy and it gives you hope that there is a way out, through, around, or above, and you are not alone. I don't know about you, but I always love that support. I love knowing I'm not alone and that I'm not running around feeling like I look stupid. And I hear this over and over from members that are in our down and dirty networking community that love the support and belonging. And so you have the opportunity by engaging in relational networking to get off that island of alone, to get the perspectives you need, to get information you don't even know maybe to ask for, and you can then move forward one step at a time. So I hope this is helpful. And I see, get up and chat and let me know if there's a specific obstacle you're facing. I would love to be able to help. Or if you feel more comfortable dropping me a private message, drop a private message and let me know an obstacle that you're facing. And let's see if I know someone who can help you, or maybe I can help give you some guidance and some different ways to look at things. Often it's just a fresh set of eyes is all we really need. And often it's just saying it out loud. In today's member event, just the opportunity to say some things out loud were incredibly beneficial for myself and some of the other members in the conversation. And so don't feel you have to hold it all in. Don't think that you have to be the DIYer of everything that you're going through, regardless of what your professional situation may be. Know that there's always a way through, around, or over, and that relational networking to learn from and about someone, having meaningful conversations, being curious. It's not about selling stuff. It's not about 30-second commercials. It's not about schmoozing and getting that job. It's about building really meaningful connections so that you can really rely on somebody, have a sounding board, and have support. Know that I am always cheering you on. And wouldn't it be awesome to have more than one person cheering you on? And I'm sure you do. But in our community, everyone cheers everybody else on. But if you are watching this and you're watching it live or on replay, because I see several are, know that I genuinely am cheering you on. So if there is a way for me to help you out and support you, know that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I hope this was helpful. Get up and chat. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up or share it or tag a friend that maybe is going through a transition or that they've confided in you about an obstacle. Say, hey, this might help. But in relational networking, really digging into it deep is super, super simple. It can be done in person. It can be done virtually. And if you'd like more tips on how to do that, stay tuned because I go live every Wednesday afternoon, sometime between 3:30 and 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we have this conversation so you can tune in with me. If you cannot wait that long, if you check out the Down and Dirty Networking YouTube channel, there are curated playlists on various topics about networking. So even if you are a traditional networker and you are doing things for lead generation, I share with you in some videos how you can use a relational networking mindset in a traditional networking setting to get even better results. More importantly, to love networking. You never should have to go around being like those people I talk to where they're like, oh, it should never be about that. It should always about having things meaningful, things that raise your vibrational energy, and things that you look forward to. I never used to look forward to networking, and now I do. And it's why I built the community to make sure that, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you get it done. And this becomes the jet fuel for you to keep moving forward and making the impact that you are doing in the world, regardless of what you do professionally. So, again, I hope this was helpful. So, stay tuned till next Wednesday for another episode of Networking Know How, and check back. We just dropped our new newsletter on our Facebook and LinkedIn page. So if you would like to get some tips, by all means, make sure you are subscribed to our LinkedIn newsletter and follow us on our Down and Dirty Networking Facebook and LinkedIn page. This is where you can see different tips and tricks that we're going to be doing. We have a really good article that's going to be coming out tomorrow, so you won't want to miss that. And this is how you can start developing your relational networking mindset, whether you're connecting with people that you work with, coworkers, vendors, suppliers. Relational networking is a mindset. Remember that. And when you turn that on and it becomes who you are, and you're always curious and you're leaning into meaningfulness, everything gets easier. Everything changes. Your vibrational energy always will increase. And who couldn't use more of that? All right. So thanks so much again for watching. And I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday for another edition of Networking Know How. And until then, happy networking.